Hi guys, welcome to this video. Today I'm going to talk about something that I call the law of transformation. I'm a lawyer and a fitness coach, and this is something that I believe is the key reason why people fail on their weight loss journey. So what I'm going to talk today about is 3 elements and why people have one or the other and the reason why they need all 3 to succeed. So we're going to talk about the triangle of transformation, the law of transformation, and why this is necessary in order for you to succeed in a weight loss journey. So let's dive right into it. So the law of transformation, before we start, I want to tell you a bit about my own personal story. So this is me, 25 kilograms overweight, and the girl on the left, I remember clearly how she felt, and it was a whole emotional mess. I didn't know how to manage my emotions. I was always emotional eating. I was always having anxiety attacks. I was going through a lot of things. I went through a divorce. I had alcohol abuse problems, and a lot of it came down from me not resolving my own internal emotions. And that's why externally I looked this way, because internally I wasn't managing what was happening to me. So getting into shape is 10% exercise. Yes, only 10%, regardless of what you think that you're putting all these hours in the gym. And the reason you're not seeing any results because exercise is only 10% of the whole equation. So 10% is exercise, 50% nutrition, what goes into your mouth, and 40% managing emotions. So until you are able to manage your emotions, you will not have the body that you want to get. And this is where I move on to my law of transformation, my triangle. So at the top of the triangle is state. The most important thing is state. How you feel, how you carry yourself, how you're managing your emotions all contribute to your state and well-being. So top of the triangle, state, then nutrition, then exercise. When you have all 3, you master your transformation. You're able to become this person because you have all of these 3. A lot of people, they'll be going to the gym all the time, but they won't be eating right and they won't be thinking right. And there's a lot of people that will be eating really, really healthy, but don't actually know what they're eating, and what they're eating could be making them fat without them realizing, even if you're eating healthy, and you also don't have the state of mind to understand that. So once you have all 3 is when you'll have transformation. You have truly mastered becoming her. So here's what some people do. They go through different coping mechanisms. So here's the reason why I think that not all of us have reached this state of mind. It's because of 4 things actually that we're doing. So there are different types of people, and you might be one or the other, and you might be a combination of all 4 of these, and that's fine. Once we bring awareness to that, you'll be able to reach the state of mind that you're meant to reach. So there are controllers, distractors, isolators, and pleasers. So controllers, they like to control the environment around you. So a lot of controllers will be manipulating the environment, trying to make things go their way. Think of the people that are in the all or nothing mindset. So they try to control. It comes from deep down, it comes from a place of control. When you want everything to go your way, and when it doesn't, when it's not perfect, you self-sabotage because you can't control that. So you'd rather not even try. If there's any inclination of failing, if there's any inclination that things aren't going to be perfect, you would rather not even try. So those are more on the controller category when it comes to nutrition and when it comes to a weight loss journey. All of these apply in daily life, not only to a weight loss journey, but I'm talking about a weight loss journey in this context. So there's distracting. A lot of people that will be distracting, you'll have a task that you need to do and you'll procrastinate. You'll scroll on your phone instead of doing the task. You'll try everything to avoid the actual task instead of doing the work by distracting. So think about emotional eating, just eating to forget what you're actually meant to do. You're stressed at work, you'll start eating instead of doing the actual task. How many times have you found yourself going to your desk, you want to do a task, but instead you go get a snack. Instead you go procrastinate and do something else. You go make a coffee in the office room. If you're at home, you'll go do something with the kids. There's always distractions around us, especially in an era of social media and phones. Isolating, these are people that usually isolate. They are more private people, more introverted, more secluded, and obviously you can be introverted and extroverted at the same time. But these people will isolate. Think of binge eating in secret. So when no one knows, they'll have like their treat at night. When the kids have gone to sleep, you'll have your cookie when no one's watching. You isolate yourself. You find this as comfort yourself. And what brings isolators comfort is when they can recharge on their own and eat the foods that they like and hiding when no one's watching. Then we have people pleasing. So people putting their needs in front of others. So think of mothers. Obviously, mothers are designed to put their children's needs ahead of theirs. But what I see with a lot of people is when you're putting your needs above others, you are taking a piece away from yourself. So in a toxic relationship, let's say, you'll be putting a partner's needs ahead of yours, and little by little, you're destroying yourself. And it's the same thing when it comes to a weight loss journey. When you're always saying, I'm going to do what's best for my family. So when you put others' needs ahead of yours, is for an example, is when I can think of a client of mine. She has a large family of 4. She's always cooking for everyone, and meal prepping was hard for her in the beginning because she's like, I need to meal prep for everyone. Everyone wants to eat, spaghetti and meatballs. I don't want to be eating chicken and some other stuff. I need to meal prep for the whole family. And what ended up happening is she was doing this for years, and then she ended up gaining a lot of weight because she put everyone's needs ahead of hers. And by doing that, she became depressed, she became anxious. And by doing this, she was unable to find peace within herself because she was too busy taking care of everyone else. When the solution was putting a little bit of time aside to prep her own meals separately. And the meals that I'll talk about later when I go into the nutrition part is doing simple meals that don't take a lot of time, so that you can have that for yourself, even if you have a big family, even if you are crazy busy and traveling all the time. If you make simple, whole food, nutritious meals, you'll be able to reach your goals easily. Okay, so shift. So when we shift our mindset is when we think about things in a different way. When we reframe our own mindset and conditioning, and I know we all have different conditioning from our childhood. We have conditioning from our life, our culture, the places where we've lived. Conditioning is very hard to remove, but being aware of that conditioning and being aware of the thoughts that you're having throughout the day is what's going to help you reach the top of that triangle, which is eventually the main reason, the catalyst for your change. So when I talk about shifting, I'm talking mainly about awareness, because most people are stuck in cycles of inconsistencies. And then you say you're going to do something today, and then you do it tomorrow, or you don't even do it. And it's this never-ending cycle of yo-yo dieting, of binging and repeating, of constant food noise, of emotional eating. The list goes on. I've been through all of them. So I know these cycles of inconsistencies. I know these excuses that I used to tell to myself. I remember the excuses that I used to tell myself that I'm happy when I wasn't. And it just got all too much, that I couldn't take it. And that's when I shifted. Sometimes it takes a large awakening to shift. And sometimes it's just that little push from someone who's been in your shoes, from a community of women who have been in your shoes and can understand and you can relate to them. So how we shift our mindset is being aware of our inconsistencies, being aware of our conditioning. We can do that through visualization, through meditation, through energy work, breath work. These are all different methods that help you to shift your mindset, but the main shift happens when you are aware. You have to be aware of your thoughts. You can't go through your day just having these thoughts float over you. You can't go through your day, anytime you get a craving, you act on it, and you don't know where it came from. You have to be self-analytical and analyze yourself to the extent that you know where this is coming from. And once you're aware, trust me, you'll be able to defeat that craving. And that's when I talk about point number 5 and shifting the defense to offense. So when I talk about this, I mean, usually we go around our day defending everything, thinking we are the victim, defending actions that we take throughout the day, defending the fact that we had that cake, defending the fact that it's been a stressful day, we deserve this. When what I want you to do is take the offense. So we fight the craving. We go from defending to attacking them. And once we attack those thoughts and those days, that's when everything changes. That's when everything shifts. It doesn't take a long time for the shift to happen, but it does take ownership. And the relationship between the internal world and the external world is more than you think. I wasn't able to shift externally until I changed my internal world and my internal thoughts. And that's what hundreds of women have done as well. Okay, now I'm going to take you through these different laws that help you reach that state even faster. So these are the laws that I'm going to go through in detail. We have the Great Law. What you give, you receive. Your thoughts, actions, intentions shape your reality. If you want love, give love. So if you want to lose weight, you need to give the action of losing weight. You need to be going to the gym. You need to become that person. Life is a mirror. Your energy reflects back at you. If you're not where you want to be, it's because you're not taking the actions that you need to take. The law of creation, life doesn't just happen. We're not bystanders watching reality go by. We're in control of our actions. We need to take actions. We need to visualize and plan and act. The law of humility, you can't change what you refuse to accept. Growth starts with self-awareness. You need to take responsibility and not be a victim in your life and constantly blame others. The law of responsibility, you're responsible for your life, no blames, no excuses. We are responsible to everything that's happening, and the reason why you're not where you want to be is because of you, not because of anyone else. But the good news is, because it's you, you are in control of yourself, you have the power to change it. I'm not any different, any special to you or any of these women that have transformed. The law of change, really important. History repeats itself until you learn the lesson. If you want different results, change your patterns. If you're indulging in the same patterns every day, there's not going to be any changes. For there to be a change, there needs to be a change of habits as well. Okay, so I'm in the kitchen now. I'm going to show you exactly what I eat and how I meal prep throughout the week to make sure that I hit my goals. I struggled with food noise all my life. I was a sugar addict, and I always had cravings. My sugar cravings were out of the roof, and that's how I dealt with stress. I talked before how I manage emotions, how managing emotions is one of the most important things for our triangle and law of transformation. And food noise and emotional eating plays a really large part in that. So the best way I've been able to counteract that for me, myself, and my clients is to make sure that I'm eating nutritious foods, whole foods with limited ingredients, and foods that I actually enjoy eating. Because if you don't enjoy the process, you're not going to stick to it. It needs to be a sustainable lifestyle diet and not just something they're going to stick to for 2 weeks and then go back eating how you used to. I've done keto before, I've done other things before, they never stuck because those are all short-term fixes, and I'm looking for a long-term fix to manage my emotions, to manage my triangle of transformation. So what I've done today, and this is my favorite breakfast that I'm eating right now, is these oat muffins that I've been making every single morning. So just look how good these are. I'm gonna take all of them out. They're actually amazing. These are chocolate chip. Sometimes I do blueberry, sometimes I do like cinnamon. I'm always changing the flavor, and like all of these are 400 calories. All of these make me full all day. This is my breakfast I have before the gym. I don't have any protein powder in this. I've done this with cottage cheese, oats, banana, and eggs, and some other things. And honestly, they just taste amazing. I'll just show you. Okay, moving on to the next piece of the puzzle. So what I'm having for lunch today, what I've done, and I'm gonna put this here, I've prepped my protein sauce. So I have some chicken breast here. And then I've got my carb sauce. I have rice today. I always alternate and change. And then some vegetables. I have some zucchini, and I have some rocket and tomato. I've just run out, so I'm gonna get some. But it's really easy, to be honest. Like I said, I stick to whole foods because they make me feel good. And believe it or not, a lot of people will say you can eat whatever you want and it doesn't really matter as long as you stick to your macros. But I'm telling you, it does matter. What you eat, what you put in your body, a person that is eating in the same calorie deficit as someone else, but they're eating processed foods instead of whole foods, they're going to look completely different. The person that's eating processed foods, they're going to have more fat accumulation around their midsection because processed foods cause inflammation. So you don't need to eliminate processed foods completely, because the way I see it is we're not punishing ourselves. We're enjoying our diet by making a lifestyle change, but we're also earning the food that we want to have. So when I say earning, the way I think about it as well is that I will do my workout and then I have earned my food because I've done my task for the day and I get to enjoy my food. And that comes from a positive action of actual enjoyment, while when a negative action will come from punishment. So punishment, and it's something that I used to do, and a lot of people that I talk to used to do, punishment comes from a negative action. So when you are indulging in a lot of food and then you feel guilty, so then you work out after. So that came from a negative action instead of a positive one. When you shift your mind to, I'm going to earn my food, I'm going to enjoy my food, I earned this, I deserve this, and this tastes amazing, and I made this for myself, then it turns into a beautiful treat instead of a punishment like, oh my God, I just ate so badly, now I need to do like 10 hours of cardio in the gym. That's a negative action, and that will lead to self-sabotage, as I talked about before. So here's my meal prep for today. And all I'm gonna do is have some rice that I've already prepped. And what I do sometimes is if I'm really busy, I would have already prepped all of this in one of these containers and then heat it up in a plate. But if I'm not that busy, then I will just put them all in big kind of containers and then measure it out when I need. Like, look how much chicken breast is in here. It's not just for me. But yeah, all I'm gonna do is literally weigh out some food. So today I'm gonna weigh out 120 grams of rice. So meal prepping is easy, especially when you're prepared. All I have here is some chicken breasts, some vegetables, and some rice. And then I add some rocket and tomato later. And this is just a really simple, easy meal. Sometimes I make more creative things, but honestly, sometimes simplicity, especially for a busy woman like myself, and like many of my clients, just focusing on the simple stuff and just weighing it and then putting it in the fridge. And then when you need it, you just take it out and you take it with you to the office, you eat it at home or whatever. It's just so easy instead of like complicating things and making like a whole complicated recipe. And then I just track it in my app. So me and my clients use my app and I have all the recipes here. Like that's a sweet potato and egg white bowl. Also super easy and simple to prep, and you just put it in one of these Tupperwares or whatever you want and then have it. And then I just press 8 today. And there's like so many recipes you can choose from, always simple and high protein, because what we eat does matter. When it comes to carbs and proteins, it's really important. Everyone knows now that macros are important. How much protein we have will contribute to how much muscle we have. How much carbs we have will also contribute to our muscle mass and our overall well-being as well. But the most important thing that I do for myself and my clients is the timing of carbs, because that is really important as well. So right now I am in a cutting phase, which I started today. And the timing of my carbs are closely related to when I'm going to do my workout. So I'll have the bulk of my carbs, like these oat protein muffins, which I'm having now. I will have the bulk of those carbs right before my workout, so I can use that energy for fuel. And then later on during the day, I'll have less carbs. And then on the days that I'm not training, I implement carb cycling, which means I alternate between high carb and low carbs during the week, depending on my training schedule. So for my custom needs, I will do a lower carb day on a day that's just cardio, and a higher carb day, for example, on a glute or back day, which is what I'm having today. So this is something that's really key that I have found for my method and for my clients that has really, really worked, and it's really effective because you get to enjoy those high carb days and you get to actually like burn that fuel. And then on the lower carb days, you will see the benefits of less water in your body and a more shredded physique, which is the goal.
Okay, so we talked about state, we talked about nutrition. Now we'll talk about the gym. So there are 3 things that you need to know when it comes to training: progressively overloading, your training intensity, and the actual structure of your program to give yourself the hourglass shape that you want. So with my program, an hourglass shape that I do for myself, I always do 3 leg days or 2 leg days, depending on where I am in my fat loss or bulking phase, and then 2 upper days or 1 upper day, and then cardio in between. So when I talk about progressive overload, this means picking the right weights every single week and progressing over them. So beating your personal best. If you've heard of the word PB, it means beating your personal best. So if last week I was squatting 50 kgs, next week I need to increase that weight. The more that your muscle deals with tension and stress, the more your body will signal to your brain that it needs to grow. So that's how we grow muscle. The intensity of your training, also that relates to progressive overload, but it also depends on what exercise you're doing. For example, if I'm doing a squat, that's a pretty intense compound movement. It trains more than one muscle. With a squat, we want to progressively overload on the bar or on the dumbbells or however you're doing it. And we want to increase those weights over time. But that means also keeping the same intensity. So using that mind-muscle connection and keeping in mind the muscle that you're actually working when you're training is really important as well. Making sure to keep the intensity. So either going fast or slow. With a kickback, for example, the tension will always be on the top of the movement. So you want to keep that tension and pause at the top when you're at the top of the movement. With an RDL, you want to keep that tension when you're going down in the movement. Each exercise has a different point of tension and intensity, and it all depends on how your program is and what your goals are. There are also things like supersets that you can also add to your routine. So supersets is when you're doing 2 exercises together. Or you can be doing an ab workout, and you can be doing planks, and then you superset that with sit-ups. So those are 2 exercises performed back to back. This makes the training really intense, mainly for different types of movements. It also really depends on your goals. I like to include all of these in my program because I have the goals of building muscle, lean body mass, and having an hourglass figure. So when it comes to tracking in the gym, you need to be tracking your workouts, you need to be tracking your sets, you need to be tracking your weights. How we do this, in my app with my clients and for myself, I track everything here. So here we have a machine-seated abduction. We've got 12 times 41 kgs. Every week, we want to aim to increase that. So that means we're actually progressively overloading and stimulating the muscle to grow. Another thing that I find is knowing what weights to actually pick for your intensity level. So I'm going to give a really quick example of weights that are too heavy and too light, depending on how many reps I can do. So I'm going to show an example with bicep curls. For example, these weights are too light for me. This is only 2 kgs. I can easily do like 20 of these. So that means that these weights are too light. If you can do more, the rule of thumb is if you can do more than 12 to 15 reps, usually the weight is too light and you need to pick up a heavier weight. Here we've got a 12 kg. So this is really heavy for me as a bicep curl. I can barely even do one. So obviously this is not suitable. So I've got the 7 kgs now. Let's see how many reps I can do and then I'll know if this is suitable for me. So I got 1, 2, so I'm still struggling to even get 3 or 4 or 5. So my form is now compromised and that means it's not suitable either. Rule of thumb is to go up heavier but not to compromise your form, because poor form is just going to get you injured and you're not going to really get the results you want. So now we've got the 5 kgs. So this is still challenging, but I think I can do about 10 of these, so that's a pretty good weight for me. Obviously, as time goes on, then next week I can get stronger and I'll probably pick up a higher weight, and that will be progressive overload.
Okay, so to conclude this video and zoom out a little and recap, state is the most important part of the equation for your triangle of transformation. We have nutrition and exercise. We need all 3 in order to be successful in a transformation and achieve this. So these women, they had this. So these women, this is what they achieved by working through the triangle of transformation and achieving these amazing transformations that I'm so proud of. They had state dialed in once they were able to shift their mindset and understand where their feelings were coming from. Once they managed their emotions, they finally reversed years of conditioning and years of self-sabotage to get the body that they wanted. So these women are not lucky. I'm not lucky. None of this came from luck. Success requires risk. It's not about luck. They were all willing to push past the discomfort in order to grow. Like my client here, Resha, she was pregnant and she was willing to put in the work. This is postpartum and then afterwards, after like 6 months of work. That's all it took to lose 18% body fat. She's now 20% body fat and looking amazing. And that's all it took. This was not about luck. This was because she had adopted the state of mind to get her there. She had adopted the nutrition, the workouts, and the state of mind to get this triangle of how she looks like today. My client, Natalia, she suffered through binge eating. She was able to control that, control her cravings. She went from being skinny fat to sculpted. My client, Karen, she was overweight her whole life. She always had a self-limiting belief that she would stay overweight and that she had to take weight loss injections in order to lose this weight. She's lost 88 pounds, 39 kgs. I think actually it's 42 now because she updated me, but 42 kgs, all because she adopted the state of mind that was, I'm going to do it. I believe in myself. I don't need to do surgery. I don't need weight loss injections. So it's about the willingness to lean into discomfort. This is why these women have results. They took accountability. They took ownership. They invested in themselves. They made their life easier through discipline. When you are disciplined, you're actually making your life easier, not harder. They thought differently. They act differently. They didn't wait for the perfect time. They all have different life circumstances. A lot of these women are mothers. A lot of these women have different responsibilities. The only thing they have in common is that they were able to master this triangle. They were able to just master this law of transformation and achieve the body that they wanted. They stopped waiting for the perfect time. I'm not special either. We just all know that state, nutrition, and exercise is why we have the results that we have and why we can keep them for a lifetime. That's the end of my video. I've hoped you've enjoyed me explaining my law of transformation, and I hope this helps. If that's something that you want some help with as well, then feel free to reach out to me. DM me on Instagram or comment on this video and I'll get back to you.